Okay, so let's check our answers then. So for number 1, we had 9 over 28 plus 11 over 14. So hopefully you notice that the denominators are not the same here, so we need to find our lowest common denominator. So we're looking for a number that 28 divides into exactly and 14 also divides into exactly. Hopefully you saw that 28 works really well, because 28 divides into 28 once and 14 divides into 28 twice. So I'm going to rewrite both of these fractions as something over 28. Now the 9 over 28 is already there, so I'm going to leave that alone. But the 11 over 14 needs rewriting as something over 28. So I'm going to show my arrow there, I'm going to show my 28 on the bottom, and then I'm thinking, what did I have to do to the 14 to get to 28? Well, I had to multiply by 2. So if I'm multiplying the bottom by 2, I have to multiply the top by 2, and that's going to give me 11 times 2, which is 22 over 28. So my fractions that I'm actually adding together are 9 over 28 plus 22 over 28. And that's going to give me 31 over 28. Now notice here that that's an improper fraction, and most likely the answer on an exam is going to be a proper fraction or a mixed number. So let's convert our improper fraction into a mixed number. 28 into 31 goes once, and I have 3 left over, so my answer is 1 and 3/28. Great. Let's have a look at number 2 then. So here I have 7 over 18 plus 9 over 24. Now in this example I'm going to show you how to find the lowest common denominator using a Venn diagram. So I'm looking for something that 18 goes into and 24 goes into. Now I'm showing my Venn diagram there. I've got my 2 overlapping circles, one for the 18, one for the 24. So 18 is 9 times 2 and 9 is 3 times 3. So in terms of prime factors, 18 is 3 times 3 times 2. And 24 is 6 times 4. So I have 3 times 2 for the 6, 2 times 2 for the 4. So in prime factors, 24 is 3 times 2 times 2 times 2. So now I underline any factors that occur in each one. So I see I've got 3 in both of them and I've got 2 in both of them. Those numbers I'm going to put right there in the center of my circles. Then I've got 3 left over, so I'll put the 3 there. I've got 2 and 2 left over, so they go in there. And my lowest common denominator is found by simply multiplying all the numbers in those 2 circles together. So I have 3 times 3 times 2 times 2 times 2, which will give me 72. So my lowest common denominator here is 72. So I'm going to rewrite my fraction there. And I'm going to have my little arrows showing that each one is going to be rewritten as something over 72. So let's have a look at the 17 over 18. I'm trying to figure out what did I multiply the 18 by in order to turn it into 72. Now there's a nice little trick we can do here. If I have a look at my prime factors for 18, that's 3 times 3 times 2. And then when I look at my LCD, where I've got all of my numbers multiplied out by each other, and I circle those 3 numbers, I can see what's left over. I've got 2 times 2 left over. 2 times 2 is 4. That's what I need to multiply my 18 by to get to 72. So I'm going to write that underneath the arrow right there. So it's a nice little trick. Now, if I'm multiplying the denominator by 4, I've got to multiply the numerator by 4. 4 times 17 gives me 68. So 17 over 18 is the same thing as 68 over 72. Now let's have a look at the 9 over 24. So I'm going to use the same trick now. 24 is 3 times 2 times 2. So when I circle that in my LCD, I can see the only thing that's left over is 3. So 3 times 24 gives me 72. If I'm multiplying the bottom by 3, I'm also going to multiply the top by 3. 9 times 3 gives me 27, so I get 27 over 72 is exactly the same thing as 9 over 24. So let's add these new equivalent fractions together. I've got 68 over 72 and I'm adding 27 over 72. I write down the 72 on the bottom and I add 68 plus 27 gives me 95. So I have 95 over 72. Now that's an improper fraction, remember? So I need to make that into a mixed number. 72 divides into 95 once and I have 23 left over. So my answer is 1 and 23 over 72. So now let's have a look at this nasty looking word problem that involves adding mixed numbers. So we have, what is the perimeter of a rectangle whose lengths are 3 and 8 over 15 plus 5 and 11 over 20? So what this question is really asking us to find out then is the perimeter, which is the length plus the width added together and then multiplied by 2. So I'm going to add those two mixed numbers together, and then whatever I get for my answer, I'm simply going to multiply it by 2. Okay, so let's start off by adding the whole numbers together. 3 plus 5 equals 8. Now let's add the fractions together. Now in order to add the fractions together, I need to find the lowest common denominator for the 15 and for the 20. Let's put my Venn diagram there, or my 15 and my 20. Let's rewrite the 15 and the 20 in terms of its prime factors. So 15 is 5 times 3, 20 is 5 times 2 times 2. Let's underline any of those factors that occur in both. So the 5 is underlined there, and I'm going to place that right in the center of the circle. And then the 3 is left over there for the 15, and the 2 times 2 is left over there for the 20, so I'm going to place them in the circle as well. So my lowest common denominator here is simply multiplying all of those factors together. 3 times 5 times 2 times 2, which gives me 60. So my LCD is 60. So let's rewrite the fractions in terms of their equivalent fractions over 60. So what did I do to the 15 to get to 60? I multiplied by 4. If I multiply the bottom by 4, I multiply the top by 4 as well. 4 times 8 is 32. So 8 over 15 is exactly the same thing as 32 over 60. Now let's have a look at the 11 over 20. What did I do to the 20 to get to 60? I multiplied by 3. If I'm multiplying the bottom by 3, I've got to multiply the top by 3 as well. So I have 33 over 60 is the same thing as 11 over 20. So now my equivalent fractions are 32 over 60 and 33 over 60. I add them together and get 65 over 60. Now that's an improper fraction, so I want to make that into a mixed number. So 60 goes into 65 once, and I have 5 left over, so 1 and 5/60ths is my answer there. But the 5/60ths can also be reduced. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 60 12 times, so I actually have 1 and 1/12. So 1 and 1/12 is what I get when I add the fractional parts together. And I had 8 from adding the whole numbers together. So when I add them together now, 1 and 1/12 plus 8 gives me 9 and 1/12. So 9 and 1/12 is the length plus the width of this rectangle. We wanted the perimeter, so all I've got to do now is multiply this by 2. So multiplying by 2 will give me 2 times 9 is 18, 2 times 1/12 is 2/12, but 2/12 can be reduced to 1/6. So my final answer is the perimeter is equal to 18 and 1/6. Okay, so if you got this one right, well done. It's a very tricky question. And if you didn't, don't worry about it. You can rewind the video to the part that you weren't so sure about and play it again. So what we saw here then is by following those 5 simple steps, we can make adding fractions much easier than it was before. My name is Dr. Stuart Donnelly, and thank you for watching.